humongous ask, obviously, but I think they actually look like a decent team. But that is,
possibly
unrealistic
top 6
expectations.
Yeah, possibly a top 6 team, but we'll see if they are going to be performing well or not. Today, we are jumping onto picks and bans. It's going to be Poppy, Rise, the Talia. A lot of that mid lane kind of taken away here from Doonby. And LNG just kind of saying, hey, that worked really well for EDG in the last one. We're going to combo it up, and we're going to take away the Renata as well to boot.
Yeah, so having an answer to that, it's kind of interesting. RA, ban away Talia, Poppy, and Rise. Obviously, the Talia Poppy really high prio, but all three of those champions very good into Kalista. Now, we did actually see this the other day. It wasn't into the Draven, but it was from Weibo and a JDG, where they picked Kalista Ashe into Aphelios Renata. And essentially, the Ashe, very heavy trading, outranges the Renata. And you kind of just gonna trade autos with LNG's bot lane, outpoke them, and cause issues. So interesting, we're seeing this again. We'll see how it comes out. We'll see if it ends up working for RA. It didn't actually end up working for Weibo in terms of game win. And we do see Cube locking his Jax, which is a very early pickup, but clearly concerned about LNG taking like a Gwen on 3 here and ban away counters. Cube takes something he is very comfortable on and is matched with the Gragas pretty quickly.
Yeah, the Cube has been literally blinding the Jax pretty much all split right now. He has just been basically saying, I'm comfortable with this. And it's worked out as well for the side of RA. The games they have won have been off of a very clean and solid performance from the side of Cube on this Jax. So we'll see Pandacy taking in the Gragas. The Gragas, of course, building into the full AP. Does have just very good sustain, keeps himself safe. Of course, you do have the natural sustain and tankiness with your W. And, of course, your passive. So we'll see what the side of LNG want to try and go for. We have seen the Gragas go into the mid lane specifically for Doonby. So, yeah, I was going to say, this is still technically a flex and can work on either side.
Yeah, I think it makes sense to the Gragas into the Jax though, because you can disengage the body slam, but does leave that opportunity. And you can see RA ban away the Renekton. You know, I gotta say that, ban away the Renekton, because maybe the Gragas could go mid. The Renekton could go mid, realistically. Doonby could do that, right?
The ultimate flex.
but that does make things difficult. If they take like Renekton Gragas and you don't know which lane they're going to, it can be very hard. Even it comes down to taking runes. Like, you don't know whether to take armor or MR, so you probably just end up taking the health scaling runes. So there's a lot of knock-on effects. You don't want to have double flex lanes. It can be painful. And they end up banning away the Silas as well. I mean, which technically is a double flex lane, less likely to see it, but thin in the pool here. Now, LNG should take their jungle here if they want to keep that flex alive and keep the threat of it available. The exception is if they have like some pick they really want, which I think is going to be denied. So if Doonby wants something in the mid lane that he thinks RA will steal away, but it looks like they are just going to go for that jungle pick, which I think makes a lot of sense. And honestly, Viego, pretty powerful in the current meta, especially given that Wukong and Poppy are banned away.
Yeah, we might see the Zinzao, maybe even the Pantheon coming out here for Rare Adams Leyen. Of course, like we said, this guy is the heart and soul of everything positive to come out from Rare Adam, I feel. And honestly, the amount of resources he gives up the Cube when he's on that Jax, the double stun combination is generally what you want to see from them, as it does end up setting themselves up. And it looks like the Pantheon is going to be the option available here. And that means that that top side can be very, very threatening if you end up getting locked down. You get the shield jump into the counter strike. That's a lot of single target CC. You're locked up for a hell of a long time.
Yeah, and I mean, if I'm playing into a Draven, I mean, Draven can actually interrupt the stun from Pantheon with his E, but it's difficult to time. And also, like, it's just a great champion to punish like a Draven, because you go bot, point and click stun, boom, stun, dead, deny the cash in. You see Strive actually going for the Zoe here, blinds. So if you're not confident in this pick, does mean that obviously RA can play around just launching out these long range skill shots. Looks like LNG might go for I mean, I love this combo. The Viego, Lissandra, the double resets that come out in skirmishes will give them a lot of power. And also, in terms of like providing help for your bot lane, leaning that Lissandra down, using the Glacial Tomb to try and stun up either the Ashe or the Kalista, very potent.
Yeah, a lot of AP available for LNG, but they've got a hell of a lot of bursts to try and go for. And same for Rare Adam. I think Rare Adam's got themselves some decent poke options with the Zoe, of course, some good pick potentials alongside that. A lot of single target CC, you imagine, as well. And for RA, they've got a very definitive style in terms of how they want to play this bot side. It's going to be about those early dragon stackings. When you have the Kalista, especially when it's with something like the Ashe, you want to try and get priority, but that's going to be difficult against a Draven Renata.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, you know, it's kind of hard for Draven Renata to trade, because every time, like, if you trade one auto for one auto on Draven, he beats most AD carries, right? Because the Axe do so much. But if you end up trading and then get slowed by the Ashe, and then Kalista starts to stack up the Rens, that's what becomes really threatening and pretty problematic. So has to be a little bit wary on this one. That's kind of why we're seeing the Kalista Ashe picked here. I am not the biggest fan of the composition from RA. I do think there's way too much Merc Treads value for the side of LNG, particularly on things like Tarzan. Like you have the sleep from Zoe, the stun from Lian, the stun from Cube, the stun from Zora. Like, I feel like if LNG get momentum, if they get ahead, they will be in a really good spot. But it's kind of like a double-edged sword, because also if Draven ends up not cashing in, LNG might really struggle. So definitely volatility from both sides. I'm edging towards LNG's composition, but both teams have their win cons. I really, as is expected this matchup, it's going to come down to what the junglers can do, really, particularly Lian pre-6. Level 3, the Pantheon is just a fantastic ganker.
Yeah, a fantastic ganker. And again, a lot of, good setup, I feel like, in all lanes. So we'll see now what lane can go for. And Tarzan has been exceptional on something like this Viego pick. We saw it in some of the clips we had in the pregame. This guy has been going mid almost exclusively. And with something like Alessandra alongside him, that could mean some early action here as well. The once dubbed potentially best mid lane jungle combination in the LPL will look to try and make that happen again. And honestly, I'm excited to see what LNG can do. Remember, if they win, it does not guarantee them top 10, but it does put them in a very powerful position.
Yeah, it puts them at 8 wins. We often see the cutoff for playoffs being 8 wins. So, it's not a guarantee, but it definitely makes things significantly more comfortable. And considering their next matchup after this one is against, I believe, it's Weibo, you for sure want to take the win here and then hope that you can get a win against Weibo and lock yourself in. But regardless, we're on the Rift. Big Dragon looks pretty cool. And LNG hoping to get the dub on this one.
Yeah, looking for a dub. Again, we talked about it in depth, but this is such a pivotal matchup for LNG. Worst case scenario, they go 7-9. That's probably not going to be good enough, but best case, they go 9-7. However, their last match is up against Weibo. It's a big, tall task to really try and think that this team could take down a top 6 above them, but they're going to have to do it in playoffs if they don't get it done now. So it's kind of a good litmus test or temperature check, shall we say, to see where LNG really do end up finding themselves. But nevertheless, we jump onto the Ref RA playing for pride, and honestly just to maybe try and get ahead of the likes of Ultra Prime and, of course, LGD to get themselves higher in the standings. But their season shall be over in the next 3 series, this being one of them. We'll see what they want to go for. Looks like they're going to try and utilize that upfront burst damage, and also just great level 1. The thing with the Ashe is that you've got the passive slows, so you've got a lot of potential here, but LNG, they're not going to let this one go quietly.
Oh, it's getting heavy. Going to be contested over this blue.
Oh, Smite comes in, Lan gets it. That's going to be a level 2 now for the Pantheon, but you can see the CC coming down. He gets ignited. It's all a bit scrappy. It's all a bit all over the place. Light and Lumao trying to go for this one here, but Lumao's going to have to flash. He's going to have to flash. No, he doesn't. He holds his trigger finger just for a moment. He's now maybe thinking about it. He hasn't procced it, but he doesn't want to use it. He doesn't have flash. I completely did not see that. Already down. And that's first blood going over to RA.
Yeah, fantastic play from RA, using the strength of the level 1, the Ashe with the constant auto attack slows. Her W is like an 18-second cooldown level 1, so it's not exactly ideal, but like her and Kalista just doing the damage, Lian and Strive with the CC, and that Pantheon is such an issue to deal with, especially because once he hit level 2, suddenly he's throwing spears about as well. They get the blue buff steal, they also get that kill, does go onto the Ashe, which obviously may not be the best target, but regardless, RA can be really happy with that start. And I love that they're using these tools they've drafted for themselves.
Yeah, very strong level 1. Recognize that now. Ooh, actually, Zora, that's not where you want to be being right now. And even though you did get the advantage in that bot side with the kill going over to the Ashe, you don't have the level 2 just yet. Now you do onto iBoy, so you're going to be a little bit more potent. But still need to be very aware that this Draven is still scary.
Yeah, and I think a big thing as well with the Ashe is you have to be, we've seen Hawkshot usage. This is one of the powers of the Ashe support as well. The vision provided can make it very easy to track the jungler. So not only is Tarzan behind, he's also going to be tracked so much easier by this Ashe. Really powerful in that regard. But there is one thing to mention with the Ashe is that you kind of, your W isn't actually that great of a tool like early levels because it's such a long cooldown. The cooldown falls down drastically with levels. I think at level 1 it's like it's a 18-second cooldown or something along those lines, and then like every point you put in it drops it. It's like 18 at level 1, at level 5 it's 4. So wow. You kind of need a few more points there before you can spam the harass out, and you're kind of relying more on the autos. But if you get caught by like the handshake by the Renata, or like Draven hits you with a couple of axes, that's where it can be scary.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that it just comes down to as well, like, you know, the Ashe is just so hard to get on top of him. And even the way you build a support Ashe when you get to level 6, you've got that ultimate with the amount of ability haste you build on yourself. It's just, you end up in a situation where you just don't really ever not have it. You can use it and then 40 seconds later you have it again. So it becomes less of a big team fight ultimate and more of just a skill shot almost that you can keep throwing out again and again and again. So something you have to be very aware of here as LNG. And honestly, RA seem to have a push in almost every single lane. They are really trying to put pressure down here on this early game. And honestly, I'm really glad to see this, because you look across the board, they should have the priority in every single lane.
Yeah, they want to play for that early pressure. And I will say top lane matchup gone pretty well for Cube. He is super confident on this Jack. So expectation, if you're going to blind it like that, it's because Cube is so good in it. But you see a big wave being pushed in here. And I like that Tarzan was there just to help assist it crash. But really, LNG don't want to look for any fight here, especially since there is the potential that Lian is there. Oh, Lumao.
Oh, he's going to try and go for this one. iBoy does have to flash, though, as the heal
dead.
came in for Zora. But Lian tries to go for the stun here as Light does have cleanse. Lumao getting close and closer and closer, but he's not quite dead just yet. One more auto attack will do it, and that's going to be good enough there for Lian. Gets him down with a spear, and that's another kill going over the side of RA. LNG, we talked about how important this matchup is. It's not starting the way they wanted it.
Yeah, I mean, the Renata just gets run down with no flash, and this is kind of one of the problems. This is why we're seeing the Ashe into the Renata, is the way Renata wants to play lane is use your abilities, like, to keep them at a distance, but, like, you can't just walk up and auto, which is how Renata, like, wants to play most lanes, because the Ashe can just keep you slowed and out-trade you. Especially, remember, Renata had a base health and her base AD nerfed, so you can't do anything to Zora. And Lumao, he went for the handshake. He went aggressive. There was no need to. He could have just backed away, and because of his aggression, he gets punished. And now a kill onto Lian makes a big difference. He resets and gets a pickaxe straight up. And in those early skirmishes, Pantheon has a lot of damage.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing we talked about. We mentioned how important these jungle picks are, and this Ashe is going to be able to constantly be able to check camps. And the thing is, even if you don't spot out Lian, you're just kind of saying, cool, he hasn't taken his Krugs yet, so he hasn't been top side, which almost certainly means he's still bot side. We'll see now what Tarzan wants to kind of go for here. Should probably just be the scuttle and then back himself away. But this is great early game. It's actually leading up to nearly 2,000 gold here for the side of RA, and they're going for more.
Oh, the wave's in a rough spot for Panda C. Cube not going to be able to freeze it. I think the wave may be a little bit too big, and so Panda C won't get punished here. Level 6 from the Gragas as well does make it trickier, and it looks like they just don't opt to go for it. But yeah, Lian having a really fantastic start. Tarzan set behind early and not really able to gain the footing in return, especially when that first skirmish goes in favor of RA. And now, okay, now they're looking for Panda C.
Yeah, I mean, he's got flash available to him. Should have his belly flop as well in a moment. But the flash in with the counter-strike. Cube gets a kill, and Lian gifting his top laner another bit of resources. RA are kind of running LNG ragged.
Yeah, I mean, so good. And this is the power of the Pantheon. We didn't get to see it when we saw it last, when it just kind of didn't make things happen, wasn't able to work. But here, able to find the momentum. Actually, yeah, it was today. It was Junjer who played it, right? Didn't really see him find the early success with Hope 4. But it's just the power that you have. So much burst, the point-and-click stun. It just makes ganks so easy. And so far, you know, 3 kills on the map at 7 minutes, a plate even for Cube. This is the momentum RA need in this game.
Yeah, big momentum. And again, this was, you know, this Pantheon was picked after the Viego. The Viego was the priority coming in here for LNG. So not really working out in the early stages right now, but it's still not out of the game just yet.
Strive has double cleanse because he's picked up a cleanse and he has to summon a spellbook cleanse. So
Ring of Frost and everything.
Good luck, don't be trying to lock him down. That's just so unreasonable.
I have many thoughts on Zoe, and I will not voice them here because
you
they're
love
very
Zoe?
obvious.
Zoe's your favorite champion?
You know what? I'm gonna let you think whatever you want to think. But we've seen now Lian starting off the Rift Tile pretty much from spawn here, and honestly, not really much you could do as LNG to make this one go for it. That being said, though, they do know that with the jungler's top side, they can maybe go for a bit of a push, but too big of a wave would take too long to really burn through iBoy and, of course, into Zora. That's just, again, just easy pickings here. And honestly, I'm loving the Kalista Ashe combination just because of the amount of like vision control you get with the little wisps and, of course, the hawk shot. You actually have so much control about where everyone is at any time.
Yeah, it's really hard to get a jump on them. They do back off a bit when they know the Herald play is going on because they know they're weak on this side of the map. But this is the thing, right? We don't see the dragon contested early because it's so hard to kill, but Herald, you know, you get 200 extra local gold. So for killing it, you get 100 gold, and then anyone who's within range gets to share the 200. That's 300 gold before you even take any plates or any towers. It's such a high value objective, and RA, because they're in a position of strength, just grab it for free.
Yeah, just grab it for free, grab it off spawn. They don't get a trade back on LNG, and we'll see what they're able to kind of go for it. Again, we're kind of being very positive, of course, for RA, but LNG do have opportunities to get back into this, so they just need to try and scale up with this Draven, get up to the Eclipse, maybe look to try and find a cash in, and it's going to be about them maybe catching out Leanne when he's not in a position to be able to try and burst someone out with the ultimate.
I feel like that's one of those things where just because you have a Draven, like it's just like, if this game does, like, if LNG don't get any kills early, then suddenly Light gets like a 2,000 gold cash in. It's like, oh well, you know, we're in the game now. So I feel like it can always be so volatile based on that. And we'll have to see. We'll be tracking those stacks as they start to build up. For the time being, though, RA continuing to have that pressure. I think what would make a lot of sense, you know, especially with the level 6 on the end, you could go for like a bot side lean, go for a play here, and if you can kill Light, fantastic, and transition that into throwing the Herald down, ideally giving that gold over to your bot lane. You can see the end's going down and pings are coming in, so if Light or Lumao overstep here, they will just die. And remember, they have the Ash Arrow as well, so they want to go for Lumao, even though Light, obviously, they want to shut them down. Light has cleanse, whereas Lumao doesn't.
Yeah, Luma would be the easier of the two targets. Already 0-2 as well, so also killing him off does stop the idea of a hostile takeover. And like you said, no real CC cleansing available to him either. So we'll see what they want to kind of go for. Of course, they do have the Starfall available to them whenever they so choose to use it. But right now, it's going to be about where these junglers end up kind of setting themselves up. We know it's bot lane is the focus here for RA. Maybe look towards that dragon to try and get that stacking objective for themselves. And actually, looking down the kind of like the middle as well, looking at the CS numbers, Cube with that one gank is very happy going into Panda C. And this is, again, something we mentioned in a draft, that Cube is very, very comfortable on this Jax pick. It almost feels like he will pick it blind into anything. It's like, cool, we got our priority, which was, of course, the Kalista. After that, I'm picking this because I don't care what you pick.
I mean, I feel like he's super proficient on it and giving himself a lead. We often saw him having the wave frozen in front of his tower to make things difficult for Pan to see. We potentially have to give up CS. Now, we do see RA looking for this dragon and having Leanne just solo it. It does take some time, but the pressure they have bot lane essentially just means they can do it. Leanne will secure it. 9% extra armor and MR across the board for RA. Definitely nice. Oh,
they're
Zora.
going to go for it. Zora's in a little bit of a trouble, though. He dodges out most of the CC, and there's the Fate's Call. Now you're in a worse position. Ooh, they don't land the knock up there onto Light. You could feel they wanted to try and re-engage onto this. Still got to be careful here as LNG, but RA not going to over-chase it right now. So get the Dragon, they get a couple of ultimates and a couple of summoners out of the side of LNG, and now with no one defending mid, they're going to get a couple of plates as well.
This is so good from RA, because not only they trade up, because yes, they burn ultimates, but they get Tarzan's Flash, which is a way longer cooldown. No summoners burn for RA, but also the timing of this Herald, fantastic, because Doinby had roamed down and you had priority in the river. Look how low that mid tower is already. Strike Match, he's trying to take it at this point. He won't be able to finish it off, but a light breeze will take it over. Mid tier 1, losing it early, definitely a big hit. And RA have just been completely on point with his objectives so far.
They really have. This is... I always say this when it comes to our bottom tier teams every single split, but where was this RA? Like, this RA is just really smart play coming out, very comfortable in what they're doing. It feels like this patch is just honestly suiting them so well. And just, I know we're still super early in this game, but right now it's a 3,000 gold lead, actually about nearly a 4,000 gold lead, to be perfectly honest, just shy of it. They've got the first dragon. They've already nearly cracked open mid, and across the board, they've got, you know, CS leads.
And the question is, what happens now? I'm hoping RA managed to continue this momentum. Oh, this is such a common play for Mashes.
Way! Actually, you should be able to pick him off here, as Doinby might have to use his flash, but does have the bailout available to him, and that was a little scary. That was a little scary right there, but that is a common play, like you said, but you have to be aware of it, otherwise you're going to get caught out. Yeah,
it's just a standard, is just firing that ult down mid lane, and very hard to avoid, because, you know, mid lane isn't that wide, and also it's not like top or bot, it's like the lane curves, right? So if you're at a different point, it'll be a different place relative to that. And it's a good shot by Zora. Obviously, you can see the ult already half off cooldown. That was one of the things that actually made Ashe, we thought we'd see her back in the AD carry role, but she started to come back as come in as a support, was the reduced cooldown on her ult, one of the buffs she got.
Oh, that Q into Lumao, though, and that the LNG were threatening to try and re-engage on this, but they can't anymore. There's going to be the Whirling Death just to clear out the bot wave, and LNG, you're supposed to be, or maybe a playoff team coming in here, and you're kind of being routed right now. You're being run across the map. No one really sure where to be, how to kind of go about this, and honestly, the poke coming out from this Ashe Zoe combination is just proving too much.
Yeah, there's a lot of pick and a lot of poke from RA, so if LNG don't have a strategy to get into fights, that can be painful, right? If you're just getting fired at by Ashe arrows, by Zoe bubbles, the poke as well, and you're not able to do anything in return, it puts you in a really uncomfortable position. iBoy's just gonna be able to pick up this first tower by himself, and like, bear in mind, mid is super low as well, so RA can just sweep up these towers if they want, on top of the fact they're leaning towards this Herald. Now, something to note is that LNG have, well, actually, it's even numbers on the map there because Doinby isn't there. We do see iBoy recalling and probably going to head over, but for now, ooh, close.
Very, very close. But again, you can see that just the fact that this Ashe arrow is up so frequently, I will say they're going to have to be careful with the aggro here for a second because it's going to reset if they do leave Lien off of it. So with the Gore Drinker now finish up and the Ludens Tempest as well, you can see now LNG trying to maybe make something work, knowing that the Ashe arrow is down. It's going to be down for another 40 seconds or so. The Callista is almost here, as is Doing B. The Rift Herald almost taken out. As we can see, there's a good steal actually coming in. Was it steal? No, it wasn't. Oh, not quite able to get the flash done out, but Light will have to use the cleanse regardless. Lumao getting jumped on here by Cube, as Cube just realizes probably not the ideal target, and actually lets him get away as well. So not ideal here for RA, but look at this now. You've got iBoy and Zora, the 80 carries coming out. Tarzan actually heartbreakers away. That is heartbreaking. And eventually it's a 1-for-1 trade, but I'm not entirely sure who got the Rift Herald. I think it was RA.
It was RA. Leon secured it with like an empowered Q into Smite. Really good way to secure objectives on the Pantheon. And then it was there for ages, and Cube ended up picking it up at the end. I actually thought they might just miss it because no one seemed to want to pick it up, but Cube does get it in the end. So we're going to replay off that fight, and you can see, so proc comes in a second. Leon hits it, so it's 1,500, and then like Q Smite. Like, look, 500 damage from the Q. Not really much you can do about that in Tarzan's case. And then here they go super aggressive. They had maybe a bit too much. He doesn't have the empowered E, so it doesn't last that long, and he just get bursted out. And you see Cube sadly letting Lumao go to rejoin the fight. It could have been a 2-for-1 in favor of RA if he just killed Lumao. But regardless, they get the Herald. It's a 1-for-1. RA will take that, and they're going straight onto this dragon as well.
Yep, and again, higher stats. You get that extra move speed, 100% better than it was a patch ago. So this is a good move here for the side, and they get bot tier 2, or sorry, tier 1 in mid, and they're gonna get bot as well. So there's just a lot of gold and just money. It's 5,000 gold all of a sudden. Ox, they're smashing.
They're doing great, and I'm just gonna say, right, such a devastating combo is this Ashe with these. Okay, we're gonna look at the picture. We've got to look at this, right, every time. Oh, arrows coming in.
Does it hit and does it kill? That's the question. I think it hits and they get a kill from it.
Yeah, I think that might be the case.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was so good. The big cross map. I said like mid is easy to hit, and yet he goes for the top one, finds it. This even gives a window for Cube to slam the Herald down and get the tower. So fantastic play from Zora, and this is such a hard comp to play against because not only do you have the extra vision from the Ashe, Zora has gone Umbral Glaive first, so he will just be able to have vision dominance, right? Easily
like right
clearing
now.
out the control ward there. Even has zombie ward as well. So not only are you behind in gold, not only are you dealing with all these skill shots that you're trying to dodge, you're going to have really bad vision parity. Oh, they're looking as well.
Yeah, they're going to try and find a fight. It's a bit of a 5v4 for the moment. There's a hostile takeover. It's all into Leanne for the moment. The good counter-strike's going to stop Tarzan from really getting any value out of this reset, and the bailout does nothing for him. They catch out Doonby, who has to go into stasis, and now you can see Zora and iBoy are starting to really pick up pace. The bubbles are flying. The paddle stars are smashing into them. LNG, they don't have a hope or a prayer.
Flash.
The Strife has flash, and they're going to have to stop him off as well. You can see him looking for it. Zora trying to see if he can make something work. Panda C is so close to death, and they can just take this tower. That's going to be a tier 2 Ox. This is insane from RA. They're just destroying LNG.
They're just peppering them with skill shots, and there's nothing LNG can do. Absolutely getting picked apart right there, and they just can't find a way into the fight. Doing such a good job of just kiting them, creating space. This Ashe pick really working well. The replay coming out. And initially, it is a little bit difficult to engage. Leon goes in first. The cast disrupts, and he actually gets focused down. And but we see the ensuing fight. And like Light can't walk up to auto really. Tarzan gets focused, they don't get the reset, and then with a Sleepy Trouble Ball coming in, they're just picking up more and more.
Yeah, they're just constantly going. You can see there just the heal coming out from Zora as well, just getting him up and kind of putting him in a better position. It's just so hard to go for anything. There's going to be the ult there from the Ashe. No one really to follow up with, but the accuracy is always impressive.
I want to see how much stacks Light is on right now, because I feel like that's the win con for LNG.
Yeah.
Is like you get a cash in on the drill.
Oh, Panda C. He's trying to get away from this one here, but sadly for him, he will be taken out there. Leyen will get himself a spear in the back. So many spears available to RA. It's hard to know which one is which, but yeah, when a poke comp gets ahead, it really feels oppressive.
Yeah, and I just think it's the vision. Like, one of the hardest things to play against is a poke comp when you don't have vision and they're firing skill shots from the fog wall. Like, look, control wood over this wall. Strive is just hitting from a position where it's so hard to dodge. If Sleepy Trouble comes through, you have such low time to respond to it. Light gets hit. Arrow's there for Zora, but he won't fire it down. Luma was ready to block. And yeah, I mean, I'm honestly at this point, even if Light gets a cash in, it's still going to be hard, but at least that would take a chunk of that gold, because right now, it's an 8,000 gold lead at 20 minutes. It's 2 dragons in pocket, and RA, they could just look towards an Ocean Soul if they can secure these next 2, and I'm not sure. LNG need to come out with a banger team fight. Oh my... Leyen also got Umbral Glaive. There will be no vision for LNG in this game.
This isn't a poke composition. I apologize to our viewers and to you, Ox, for misleading you. This is a vision composition. This is a no idea what you're doing on the enemy team, because look, we have perfect vision. We just put out a hawk shot. That hawk shot almost leads to an arrow, which can lead to literally Lumao losing almost all of his HP and his flash. That's all they did. They missed everything. They've literally missed absolutely everything. It does not matter. But now you can see that Strive's got a little bit too far forward, and he will be taken down. Matters a little bit as they come back into the fight. The TP's going to be coming in, though. That's going to be the Jax joining in here as iBoy wants to try and keep this one interesting. Panda C trying to see if he can maybe be a little bit more aggressive, as they know the Pantheon's coming in with the Starfall. They're just kind of pushing this. They're forcing them with their wallets, but I don't think that's what you want to be doing. LNG, there's 4 kills. I don't know what just happened, but it's going to be on Cube to 1v5. He picks up 1, maybe able to pick up another, but he's not quite able to get away from him. He's still pushing away. Cube's going to have to try and maybe turn this one as best he possibly can. He jumps over and keeps himself alive. But LNG, they were so far behind, and they just got themselves a boatload of shutdowns and probably even a Baron.
Yeah, I mean, it matters a bit if you miss every single skill shot in that situation. Man, just way too much gold given over. And now the Baron as well. Cube, you can't go in here. There's Lissandra. Actually, the Gragas is very low. Oh my god!
No way, Cube. No way. He's still going, but no, he's not quite able to make it happen. He does get taken out right at the last second, but can they kill off the Baron and get out in time? You got Strive coming in on the backside of this one here. He's looking to try and land a bubble. He will land it, but it's instantly cleansed by Light, who did not hit. So he ends up losing a summoner and sadly will not be able to kind of do much else, but they back themselves away. It still does mean soul point for RA as LNG need to reset.
Man, but LNG, you know, we were staring at like an 8k gold deficit, and they're now 4,000 gold behind. They've shaved it in half. And they throw too much, they overcommit. The ult, the Sleepy Trouble Bubble misses, and then Strive actually flashing in. They're so committed to this Lumao kill, and it just starts getting messy. And this is where LNG's comp really starts to stand out, when they are the ones who have like the skill. It's no longer about firing those skill shots from a distance. It's about the close-knit 5v5. Things like the Lissandra and the Viego have so much value in these extended skirmishes. You see the Sleepy Trouble Bubble coming from Tarzan, very slick. Panda C gets the combo, gets them both. Decimation on the Rift.
Yeah, his sole point, but RA, they're going to be licking their wounds just a little bit there. You cannot just let LNG have a pretty free setup there, as honestly, even looking at that replay, iBoy just didn't really get to auto attack. As soon as he got one off, he was exhausted straight away. So naturally, Doomby with the spell, the Unsealed Spellbook was able to make that one happen for his team. So it's still RA in the driver's seat. They're still about 4,000 gold ahead and have soul points. So very good position, but a hell of a lot of gold went over to LNG. And I actually didn't see about the stacks, but regardless of the stacks, 80 carry difference is no more. You actually have equal items now between Light and iBoy, but look at
Pandacy.
He's looking for something. He's going to land the explosive cast, but he gets 3 people isolated, and you can see that's going to be good enough, or maybe not. They're going to see now Stripe trying to maybe make this one work. iBoy still has not quite gone down as Light tries to make this one work. Tarzan looking for the resets as finally the Draven has been felled. He'll get the Heartbreaker over the wall and immediately CC'd. And this is the wallet smacking they wanted from the side of RA. They knew they were stronger. They knew they had the resources, and they just need to make it work for them.
The angle just wasn't quite right on the flank for Panda C. The cask knocked them just a bit too far away, and then in that close-knit fight, the Pantheon, the Jax really coming up huge in those extended skirmishes, and as you said, the gold deficit definitely coming into play there. Good to see Inhibitor taken in the mid lane, another big blow to LNG. You know, the goalie was 8k, then it went to 4k, it's back up at 7k. RA have reaffirmed their control of this match.
Stunks, Ox. Stunks. That's what this game is. This game feels like right now. But yeah, huge swings of gold, huge swings of momentum coming in. I am excited to see the gold graph at the end of this game as we do see a replay here. And like you said, without the flash from Panda C, he has a great angle, but he's not quite able to get exactly where he wants to be.
Yeah, and bear in mind, Doinby's claws on cooldown just before this. So if you look at the cask, ideally he wants to knock them like further in. But they get knocked like to the side, and then Cube plays interrupt. iBoy survives such a long time. Like, that should be instant death for iBoy if you have a flank like that. And sure, he goes down, but Doinby's dead, Light is dead, Tarzan is about to die. Like, it wasn't, the concept of the play was good, but the execution wasn't there.
Yeah, and I just feel like Luma just getting deleted right at the start of that. Had the hostile takeover, Flash Ignite still not used, and again, the bailout could have been massive. You know, you those little small moments that you just don't have access to anymore just end up being a big problem. He has built the Mikhail's Blessings, so little interesting as well. First time we're seeing it on this new patch. Has received some nerfs, so not as powerful as it is, but you're not really taking it for the raw stats. You're taking it for the active, which is about cleansing any of the CC. But iBoy, maybe gotta try and find Panda C here. They're looking to see if they can get another perfect flank.
This is so good. Why would they check that brush? Why would they check that brush? No one would stand in that brush. I think they were hoping they'd push up in bot lane and you could just get this. Oh my, they could actually find iBoy here.
Yeah. Oh, I think he missed up the flash a little bit, but we'll see if it ends up going all right. No, it is not. iBoy will get out with his life, and Panda C, the execution, just not quite there. Now we're going to see Doonby getting jumped on here by a very powerful Jax as Cube starts to whack him with the lamppost. He's getting some big revs up as he knows he is just stacking as big as he possibly can. And now LNG, you're on the wrong side of the rift, buddy. You've nowhere to go. You can see Doonby trying to look for the hero play, but it's just not enough. Leyen picks up a double. Leyen picks up a triple. And we're going to see them go all the way to the ace. LNG are routed in this game, and this is going to be game 1 to RA.
Leyen gonna fly mid to finish it out, and once more, the concept fantastic, the execution, I don't even want to talk about it from LNG. Didn't find the connection onto the Calista, and RA take an easy fight and take game 1, and I'm gonna be real, in very convincing fashion.
Yeah, I mean, apart from that one misstep with the
We forget about that. We forget about that.
That was one mistake, one little misstep that just didn't quite go your way. And you, honestly, that was impressive. That was a genuine win. There was nothing about it that was quote-unquote cheesy or anything like that. They had a win condition. They played to that win condition. And we highlighted the guys at the start of the series. Leyen versus Tarzan. Leyen had his number, and Leyen was just so much more active, so much more impactful. Yeah,
I mean, see, we saw what the Pantheon could do, right? We did get to see it yesterday from Weibo. We saw it earlier today as well from EDG. Neither